Success is not just about what you do, it's also about who you surround yourself with. The people in your life can either lift you up or drag you down. If you're wondering why you're not moving forward as fast as you should, it's time to look at your environment. Toxic people will hold you back, drain your energy, and fill your mind with doubt. If you don't identify and remove them, they will keep you stuck. Today, I'm going to show you the 8 signs of toxic people who are holding you back and how you can protect your success. Toxic people operate like a dark cloud, casting shadows over your goals, ambitions, and mindset. Their negativity is not just a momentary mood, it is a persistent pattern of pessimism that slowly seeps into your way of thinking. They complain about everything, find faults in every plan, and always have a reason why something won't work. The most dangerous part? They rarely, if ever, provide solutions. Instead of encouraging growth, they create doubt and hesitation. Negativity is contagious, much like a virus. When you're constantly exposed to someone who always sees the worst in situations, it becomes increasingly difficult to maintain an optimistic perspective. You might start questioning your own goals, wondering if they're unrealistic. You might hesitate before taking action simply because their voice has planted seeds of fear in your mind. Over time, without even realizing it, you begin to internalize their pessimism, which in turn weakens your confidence and motivation. Imagine this. You've been planning to start a business, and you finally muster up the courage to tell your friend about it. Instead of encouragement, their immediate response is, "Are you sure that's a good idea? What if you fail? Most businesses don't even last a year. You don't have enough experience. You might lose money." At first, you brush it off, but as you lie awake at night, their words echo in your mind. Doubt creeps in, and what was once a bold and exciting dream now feels like a reckless risk. This is how negativity works. It doesn't shut you down immediately, but it slowly erodes your belief in yourself. Toxic people thrive on focusing on problems rather than solutions. If you tell them about an opportunity, they'll point out the risks. If you share an achievement, they'll downplay it or compare it to someone else's success. If you express enthusiasm about a new challenge, they'll remind you of all the ways it could go wrong. It's not just that they don't believe in themselves, they don't want you to believe in yourself either. Their negativity is a reflection of their own fears and limitations, but if you're not careful, you'll allow it to become yours as well. Negativity is not just harmful in the short term, it shapes your mindset in the long run. People who are surrounded by constant pessimism often develop limiting beliefs. They become more afraid to take risks, more hesitant to step outside their comfort zone, and more likely to settle for mediocrity. Success requires a growth-focused mentality, a mindset that sees possibilities instead of roadblocks, solutions instead of excuses, and lessons instead of failures. When you cut off negativity, you give yourself the freedom to dream bigger, take bolder actions, and move forward without the burden of doubt placed on you by others. Take the story of John, for example. He was passionate about fitness and wanted to become a personal trainer. He spent months studying, getting certified, and planning his business. But every time he shared his vision with his childhood friend, he was met with discouraging words. Man, the fitness industry is too competitive. There are already thousands of trainers out there. How do you expect to stand out? What if no one hires you? At first, John tried to ignore it, but the more he heard these words, the more he started second-guessing himself. Eventually, he put his plans on hold. One day, he met an old acquaintance who had built a successful online coaching business. John shared his struggles, and the acquaintance asked him one simple question: "Who told you it was impossible?" John immediately thought of his negative friend. That was the moment he realized that he had been holding himself back because of someone else's doubts. He distanced himself from the negativity, surrounded himself with supportive and ambitious people, and within a year, his business took off. This is the power of environment. If you spend too much time around people who tell you why something won't work, you'll start believing them. But if you surround yourself with people who focus on possibilities and solutions, your entire perspective shifts. Cutting off negativity is not about being rude or abandoning people entirely. It's about protecting your mind, your energy, and your success. You cannot afford to carry the weight of someone else's pessimism. Your dreams are too important. Your success depends on your ability to think positively, take action, and believe in yourself even when challenges arise. Let go of the people who constantly bring negativity into your life and watch how your mindset, confidence, and opportunities expand. Success is built on a foundation of belief. Before anyone else believes in you, before any opportunity comes your way, you must first believe in yourself. The strongest force in shaping your future is your own mindset. If you believe you can achieve something, you will find a way. If you doubt yourself, you will hesitate, procrastinate, and ultimately hold yourself back. Toxic people understand this, and that is why they work so hard to make you doubt yourself. They don't do it because they see your weaknesses. They do it because they fear your strength. Doubt is a powerful weapon, and toxic people know exactly how to use it. They won't always tell you directly that you can't succeed. Instead, they'll disguise their words in ways that sound like concern or advice. They might say things like, "Are you sure you're ready for that? It sounds really difficult." Or, "I just don't want to see you get hurt if it doesn't work out." At first, their words seem harmless, even caring. But over time, they take root in your mind. You start to hear their voices when you're about to take a risk. And suddenly, you're second-guessing yourself. The danger of doubt is that it doesn't stop at just one decision. Once you start doubting yourself in one area, it spreads. You begin questioning your abilities, your worth, and your right to aim higher. Toxic people love this because as long as you stay uncertain, you stay stuck. They don't want you to move forward because your success would serve as a painful reminder of their own stagnation. It is easier for them to keep you doubting yourself than to face the reality that they never had the courage to try. Imagine a young woman named Sarah who dreamed of becoming a writer. She spent years perfecting her craft. But when she finally decided to write her first book, her closest friends scoffed and said, "Do you really think you have what it takes? There are already so many writers out there. What makes you different?" Sarah laughed it off, but that night those words replayed in her mind. The next morning she sat down to write, but for the first time she hesitated. What if she wasn't good enough? What if no one cared about her book? Days turned into weeks and Sarah wrote less and less. Eventually, she put her dream on hold, telling herself she'd come back to it later. One day, Sarah met a well-known author at a local event and nervously shared her doubt. The author listened, then said something that changed everything. "Do you want to know the difference between the people who succeed and the people who don't? The ones who succeed don't listen to people who tell them they can't." That was the wake-up call Sarah needed. She realized that her doubt wasn't coming from within, it was planted by someone else. She cut ties with the negativity, regained her confidence, and finished her book. A year later, she became a published author, all because she chose not to let someone else's fear become her reality. This is how toxic people operate. They whisper doubts into your ear until those doubts become your own thoughts. They convince you that your goals are too big, that you are not ready, or that you don't have what it takes. But here's the truth. Their words only have power if you believe them. The moment you recognize that their doubt is a reflection of their own insecurities, you take back control. If you let people make you doubt yourself, you will never take the steps necessary to achieve your dreams. You will always be waiting for the perfect moment, for more experience, for someone else's approval. But success does not come to those who wait. It comes to those who believe and act despite fear, despite doubt, despite obstacles. You must guard your mind like a fortress. Be mindful of the voices you allow to influence your thoughts. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, who remind you of your potential and who challenge you to be better. Let go of those who make you feel small, who dim your confidence, and who hold you back with their own fears. Your potential is limitless, but only if you believe in it. No one else can decide what you are capable of except you. Do not let toxic people plant doubt where confidence should grow. Do not let their words become your reality. Your success depends on what you believe, so choose to believe in yourself and watch how your life transforms. Relationships, whether personal, professional, or business, should be built on mutual support, respect, and value. When a relationship is one-sided, it drains your energy, time, and sometimes even your finances, leaving you feeling exhausted and unappreciated. Toxic people operate on a pattern of taking more than they give. They rely on your kindness, generosity, and willingness to help, but when the time comes for them to support you, they are nowhere to be found. They demand your attention, your resources, and your emotional support, yet they never return the favor. These individuals have a way of making you feel obligated to always be there for them. They manipulate situations to their advantage, making it seem like you owe them something or that their problems are more important than yours. They call you when they need help, but when you need advice, they're too busy. They expect you to listen to their struggles, but when you try to share your challenges, they change the subject. Over time, this imbalance starts to wear you down. You begin to feel like you are carrying the weight of the relationship alone, constantly giving without receiving anything in return. The danger of being around people who take more than they give is that it leaves you depleted. Your energy is a resource just like your time and money. When you continuously pour into someone who never replenishes that energy, you end up feeling drained, unmotivated, and even resentful. It is impossible to thrive in life and achieve success when you are constantly surrounded by people who only take from you. True relationships are not built on one person carrying all the weight. They are about balance, where both individuals contribute and uplift each other. Consider the story of David, a talented entrepreneur who had a close friend named Mark. Whenever Mark needed financial help, David was there. Whenever Mark needed business advice, David shared his insights. Whenever Mark was struggling emotionally, David provided support. But when David faced challenges in his own business and reached out to Mark for advice, he received nothing but excuses. "I'm too busy," Mark would say. "I wish I could help, but I have my own problems." At first, David brushed it off, thinking that maybe Mark was just going through a tough time. But as time went on, he realized that Mark was always available when he needed something, but never when David needed support. One day, David decided to test their friendship. Instead of always being the one to initiate conversations and offer help, he stepped back. Weeks passed and Mark never reached out. That's when it became clear this wasn't a friendship. It was a one-sided transaction. David had been investing in someone who had no intention of investing back. He made the difficult decision to distance himself, and though it was hard at first, he soon felt lighter, freer, and more focused on the relationships that truly mattered. This is the harsh reality of toxic people who take more than they give. They don't just drain your energy, they hold you back from forming meaningful connections with people who genuinely care about you. When you spend all your time giving to someone who never gives back, you miss out on the chance to build relationships with people who would actually support and uplift you. It's important to recognize when you are in a one-sided relationship and take action. The first step is to set boundaries. If someone only contacts you when they need something, stop responding immediately. If someone never supports you but always expects your help, start saying no. Boundaries are not about being selfish. They're about protecting your well-being. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And if a relationship is leaving you emotionally exhausted, it's a sign that something needs to change. True success in life requires surrounding yourself with people who add value, not just those who take from you. Look for relationships that are built on mutual respect and support. The people you allow into your life should encourage you, inspire you, and be there for you just as much as you are there for them. If you find yourself constantly giving while receiving nothing in return, it's time to step back and ask yourself, is this relationship truly serving me? Letting go of one-sided relationships can be difficult, especially if you've known the person for a long time, but the truth is, holding on to toxic connections only limits your growth. When you remove those who drain you, you create space for people who genuinely care, who contribute to your success, and who bring positivity into your life. You deserve to be surrounded by people who give just as much as they take. If a relationship is only taking from you, it's time to walk away and invest in those who truly value you. Growth is the key to success. The moment you stop growing, you start declining. Whether it's learning new skills, expanding your mindset, or stepping into new opportunities, growth is what separates those who achieve their dreams from those who remain stuck in the same place year after year. But not everyone wants to see you grow. Some people will actively discourage your progress because they fear being left behind. They don't want you to become more educated, more successful, or more disciplined, because the moment you elevate yourself, you remind them of their own unwillingness to change. Toxic people who discourage your growth often disguise their words as concerned. They'll say things like, "Why are you working so hard? You should just relax." Or, "Do you really need to take that course? Isn't that a waste of time?" At first, these statements might seem harmless, but their true intention is to plant doubt in your mind. They don't want you to read that book because it will expand your thinking. They don't want you to develop new skills because it will give you an edge. They don't want you to pursue that dream because it will take you to a level where they can no longer relate to you. The truth is, growth is uncomfortable, not just for you, but for the people around you. When you start changing, it forces others to confront their own choices. If you wake up earlier to work on your goals while they sleep in, they'll feel insecure about their laziness. If you start eating healthier and taking care of your body while they continue with bad habits, they'll feel judged, even if you say nothing. Instead of seeing your growth as inspiration, they see it as a threat. Imagine a young man named Jason. He grew up in a small town where most people lived simple, predictable lives, but Jason wanted more. He wanted to build a business, travel the world, and create financial freedom. He started reading books on entrepreneurship, listening to motivational speakers, and developing skills that would set him apart. At first, his friends laughed it off, saying he was too serious and needed to enjoy life. But as Jason progressed, their words became sharper. "You've changed," they said. "You're not the same person anymore." They made him feel guilty for wanting more. They tried to convince him that he was being unrealistic and that he should just settle like everyone else. For a moment, Jason questioned himself. Was he really making the right choice? Was he chasing something that wasn't meant for him? But then he realized something. Their discouragement wasn't about him, it was about them. They weren't uncomfortable with his choices, they were uncomfortable with their own unwillingness to grow. Once Jason understood this, he stopped seeking their approval. He surrounded himself with people who encouraged his ambitions. And over time, he built the life he had always dreamed of. Meanwhile, his old friends remained exactly where they had always been, still talking about how life was unfair. This is how toxic people operate. They try to hold you back, not because they care about you, but because they fear losing the version of you that makes them feel comfortable. They want you to stay at their level so they don't have to face the fact that they've chosen comfort over growth. But you weren't created to stay the same. You were made to grow. You must understand that success requires elevation. It requires you to outgrow certain mindsets, habits, and sometimes even certain people. It doesn't mean you have to cut off everyone in your life, but you do have to protect your progress. If someone constantly discourages you from improving yourself, it's a sign that they do not belong in your inner circle. The people who truly care about you will support your growth, even if it means you surpass them. Never let anyone make you feel guilty for wanting more. You have a responsibility to yourself to become the best version of who you were meant to be. Growth is not selfish, it is necessary. Every step you take towards your dreams is a step towards fulfilling your true potential. And if some people can't handle that, let them stay where they are. Your future is waiting for you, but you'll only reach it if you keep growing, no matter who tries to hold you back. Success reveals a lot about the people around you. When you start winning in life, you'll notice two kinds of reactions: those who genuinely celebrate your success and those who resent it. Toxic people fall into the second category. They can't stand to see you achieve something they haven't. Instead of being inspired, they become envious. They don't clap when you win. Instead, they try to downplay your achievements, find flaws in your success, or turn everything into a competition. Envious people don't always express their jealousy openly. Sometimes it comes in the form of backhanded compliments like, "Wow, must be nice to have luck on your side," or "I guess you just got lucky." They refuse to acknowledge the hard work and sacrifices that led to your success. Instead, they attribute it to luck or some unfair advantage. They do this because accepting your success would force them to confront their own lack of effort. Other times, their envy shows up as constant competition. Instead of celebrating your growth, they immediately try to one-up you. If you share that you got a promotion, they'll suddenly start talking about how they're about to get a better opportunity. If you buy a new car, they'll go out of their way to show you that they're shopping for something bigger. It's not about their own progress. It's about proving that you're not better than them. Success exposes insecurity. When toxic people see you winning, it reminds them of everything they haven't done. Rather than using your achievements as motivation, they let bitterness take over. They may even try to sabotage your progress by discouraging you, talking behind your back, or subtly trying to make you doubt yourself. These are not the people you want in your corner. Take the example of Lisa, an ambitious young woman who worked tirelessly to build her own business. She had a childhood friend named Amanda who always seemed supportive until Lisa started seeing real success. When Lisa landed her first major client, Amanda barely acknowledged it. When Lisa moved into a nicer apartment, Amanda made a sarcastic remark about how she was moving up so fast. Over time, Amanda's true feelings became clear. Whenever Lisa shared an accomplishment, Amanda found a way to minimize it or shift the focus back to herself. One day, Lisa overheard Amanda telling someone she thinks she's better than everyone now just because she has a business. That was the moment Lisa realized that Amanda wasn't really a friend, she was a competitor. Instead of celebrating Lisa's success, she resented it. Instead of being happy for her, she felt threatened by her growth. This is the reality of toxic, envious people. They won't say it outright, but their actions will always show how they feel. And the biggest mistake you can make is keeping these people close, hoping they'll change. True friends don't compete with you, they support you. They want to see you win, not because they get something out of it, but because they genuinely care. It's important to recognize the signs of envy early and distance yourself from those who can't be happy for you. You don't need people in your life who secretly want you to fail. Surround yourself with those who uplift you, who celebrate your victories as if they were their own, and who push you to achieve even greater things. Your success should never be something you feel the need to downplay to make others comfortable. You worked for it, you earned it, and if someone can't be happy for you, that's their problem, not yours. Keep moving forward, keep winning, and never let toxic people dim your light. The right people will always celebrate with you, not compete against you. Manipulation is one of the most toxic traits a person can have. It's a subtle yet powerful way people try to control you, often without you even realizing it. They don't demand things outright. They make you feel guilty for not giving in. They twist situations, making you question your decisions, your emotions, and even your reality. If you've ever found yourself doing something you didn't want to do just to avoid feeling guilty, you've likely encountered a manipulator. These people know exactly how to play on your emotions. They use guilt as a weapon, making you feel like saying no means you're selfish, ungrateful, or uncaring. They make everything about them, turning the smallest situations into emotional traps. And once you fall into their guilt trip, they gain control. They know you'll do whatever it takes to avoid feeling bad, and they use that against you. A manipulative person never takes responsibility for their actions. Instead, they shift the blame onto you. If they do something wrong and you call them out on it, they'll flip the situation so that you're the one feeling guilty. If you try to set boundaries, they act as if you're being cruel or unreasonable. This is how they keep you under their control, by making you question yourself instead of them. The worst part about manipulation is that it happens gradually. It starts small, a little guilt here, a twisted truth there. Over time, you begin to doubt yourself. You start second-guessing your choices, wondering if you're really the problem. That's exactly what the manipulator wants. They don't just want control over your actions, they want control over your thoughts and emotions. Take the story of Kevin, for example. Kevin had a close friend, Ryan, who always seemed to need something, whether it was borrowing money, needing a favor, or wanting Kevin to cancel his plans for him. Ryan always found a way to make Kevin feel obligated. Whenever Kevin hesitated, Ryan would say things like, "Wow, I thought we were friends," or "I guess I know where I stand now." At first, Kevin gave in because he didn't want to seem like a bad friend. But over time, he realized that Ryan never reciprocated. Whenever Kevin needed something, Ryan was suddenly too busy. But if Kevin said no, Ryan would act hurt, making Kevin feel like the villain. It wasn't until Kevin took a step back that he saw the pattern. Ryan wasn't really a friend. He was a manipulator. This is what toxic people do. They use emotional pressure to get what they want while giving little or nothing in return. They twist reality so that you feel like the bad guy whenever you stand up for yourself. But a real friendship, a real relationship is built on mutual respect, not control, not guilt, and not manipulation. The key to dealing with manipulators is recognizing their tactics and refusing to play their game. The moment you stop reacting to their guilt trips, they lose their power over you. It won't be easy. They will push back harder, making you feel even guiltier. But you must stand firm. You have the right to say no. You have the right to set boundaries. You do not owe anyone your time, energy, or resources just because they make you feel bad for not giving in. Healthy relationships are built on understanding, not obligation. If someone truly cares about you, they will respect your choices without making you feel guilty. They'll twist your words or play the victim every time they don't get their way. And they certainly won't use your kindness as a tool for manipulation. So pay attention to how people react when you say no. A person who respects you will accept your decision. A manipulator will make you feel guilty for it. Choose to surround yourself with people who uplift you, not those who control you through guilt. Your peace, your success, and your happiness depend on it. Time is the one thing you can never get back. It's your most valuable asset. Yet toxic people have a way of stealing it from you without you even realizing it. They don't take your time in obvious ways. They do it subtly through endless drama, pointless arguments, unnecessary distractions, and constant interruptions. Before you know it, you spend hours, days, or even years investing in people who add no real value to your life. Toxic people thrive on distractions. They will drag you into their problems, not because they want solutions, but because they want attention. They will call you at inconvenient times with emergencies that aren't really emergencies. They will argue over things that don't matter just to keep you engaged. They will pull you into gossip, negativity, or situations that drain your energy. And the longer you stay engaged, the more of your time they take. The biggest issue is that toxic people don't respect boundaries. They don't care if you have things to do, goals to accomplish, or responsibilities to handle. They expect you to drop everything for them over and over again. And if you dare to set limits, they make you feel guilty for it. But here's the truth. If someone is not helping you grow, they are holding you back. And if they are constantly wasting your time, they are stealing opportunities from you. The danger of time wasters is that they keep you from focusing on what really matters. Imagine trying to build a business, improve your skills, or work on a big goal, but every time you sit down to focus, someone calls you with drama. Imagine planning to work out, read, or develop yourself, but instead you get caught up in someone else's unnecessary problems. Success requires focus, and toxic people know that. That's why they distract you, not because they need you, but because they don't want you to move forward without them. Take the example of James, a hardworking entrepreneur trying to build his dream business. He had a childhood friend, Mike, who always had some kind of drama going on. Every time James tried to focus, Mike would call him with problems, issues at work, relationship troubles, or complaints about life. At first, James thought he was just being a good friend by listening, but soon he realized that every conversation was the same. Nothing ever changed, and Mike never actually wanted advice. He just wanted to vent, argue, and pull James into his negativity. One day, James had an important deadline. He told Mike he was busy and couldn't talk. Mike responded with, "Wow, so now that you're successful, you don't have time for your friends?" James felt guilty, so he gave in. He spent 2 hours on the phone with Mike, only to realize later that he had missed a critical opportunity for his business. That's when it hit him. Mike wasn't just wasting his time, he was holding him back from his future. This is how toxic people operate. They don't just waste time randomly, they waste it strategically. They keep you so caught up in their world that you forget about your own. And if you're not careful, years can pass before you realize how much time you've lost. The truth is, every minute spent on meaningless drama is a minute stolen from your purpose. If someone is not helping you move forward, they are pulling you backward. And if you don't set boundaries, you will wake up one day wondering where all your time went. Successful people guard their time like treasure because they know its value. They don't entertain pointless conversations, unnecessary conflicts, or people who drain their energy. They focus on what matters, and they surround themselves with people who respect their time. If you want to succeed, you must do the same. Stop answering every call. Stop engaging in every argument. Stop giving your time to people who don't deserve it. Instead, invest your time wisely on growth, on learning, on building something meaningful. Because at the end of the day, wasted time is wasted potential, and the cost of that is far too high. Life is about growth. It's about learning, evolving, and becoming better. But toxic people resist change. They hold on to their bad habits, repeat the same mistakes, and refuse to take responsibility for their actions. No matter how much you try to help them, they remain stuck in their ways. And if you're not careful, they'll keep you stuck with them. A key sign of a toxic person is their unwillingness to change. They make the same poor decisions over and over again, expecting different results. When things go wrong, they don't reflect on what they could have done better. Instead, they blame others, make excuses, or act like a victim. This mindset is dangerous because it creates a cycle of negativity that never ends. These people often say they want to improve, but their actions tell a different story. They talk about changing, but they never take real steps toward it. They promise to do better, but the moment they face discomfort, they fall back into old patterns. They expect others to accept their toxic behavior instead of putting in the work to improve themselves. The worst part, they drag others down with them. When you try to grow, they resist. When you try to change, they mock you or try to pull you back into their world. They don't want to see you evolve because it forces them to confront their own stagnation, and rather than growing with you, they try to keep you at their level. Take the story of Daniel and his longtime friend Marcus. Daniel was ambitious. He wanted to build a successful career, improve his mindset, and take control of his future. But Marcus wasn't the same. He constantly complained about his problems, but never took action to fix them. He had big dreams, but never put in the effort to achieve them. Daniel tried to encourage Marcus, offering advice and support. He invited him to read books, attend seminars, and develop better habits. But every time, Marcus had an excuse. I don't have time, he would say, even though he spent hours watching TV. That won't work for me, he insisted, even though he never tried. And worst of all, whenever Daniel made progress, Marcus responded with jealousy instead of encouragement. One day, Daniel realized the truth. Marcus didn't want to change. He didn't want solutions. He wanted sympathy. He didn't want growth. He wanted company in his stagnation. And as long as Daniel stayed close to him, Marcus would keep pulling him back. That's when Daniel made a difficult decision. He distanced himself, not because he didn't care, but because he realized he couldn't force someone to grow. He had to focus on his own future instead of waiting for Marcus to be ready to change. This is a hard lesson, but a necessary one. You cannot change someone who doesn't want to change. You can offer guidance, support, and encouragement, but in the end, they must choose growth for themselves. And if they refuse, you have two choices: stay in their cycle or break free and move forward. True success requires surrounding yourself with people who are willing to grow, people who take responsibility for their actions, learn from their mistakes, and push themselves to improve. If someone in your life refuses to change, you must ask yourself, are they lifting me up or are they holding me back? Growth is a choice, and not everyone will make it, but you must. Because if you wait for others to change before you move forward, you may end up waiting forever. And your dreams, your potential, and your success are far too important to waste on someone who refuses to grow. You were created for greatness, but not everyone around you is meant to go with you. If you recognize these signs in the people around you, it's time to make a change. You don't owe anyone your success, but you do owe yourself the best environment to thrive. Surround yourself with people who push you forward, not hold you back. Your future is too important to be limited by toxic people. Choose wisely, act boldly, and step into the success you were meant to achieve.